found this topic. Jesus calls for our return. You found it because you were meant to find it. You've been led to it. And there's good reason for it, because you're ready for this topic. You've got God as your backup for this topic. Well, I'm Dr. Bob. Welcome to the Christian Laity Foundation, which was founded in order to help all those who are searching for the ultimate healing, that being to recover the awareness of your holiness, and for us to teach it and to support you in it. And you found this aspect of the healing. Why is it important to know that we're being called back again? Why? Let's go up to the Genesis portion of the Bible, when Adam and Eve ate the apple, and then God tells them, you're going to leave here. Has to be, and you're going to have such difficulty with your life. And he sets two seraphim or cherubim, whatever it is, at the gates of heaven. And then it ends it and says, to protect the tree of life. Tell me something. Did you have hesitancies and concerns about whether or not God wants to welcome you back? Doesn't say anything about it at that point except for that last sentence. Why does he put the cherubim or the seraphim there? Why does he do that at the gates? Oh, well, you might think, well, that's to make sure we never come back. And he's going to keep us out because we sinned. I don't think that. I'm going to suggest another interpretation of it. The tree of life was being protected, that you could not ever take from God, who you were created as in the first place, as an extension of that tree of life. God will not let you lose the self that God created you as. Can't lose it. You can't over-create it. You can't go above it. You can't say, well, I am going to, because that was it. I left here, and here I am in this world. No, you can't change yourself. It's not possible. You don't have greater power than God. Or maybe you think you do. Lots of luck. If you think it, so be it. I respect your wish to think whatever it is that you want to think. But we also know that God's loyalty to you, that the tree of life is sitting right inside you and you can't get rid of it, means that eventually, because of your unhappiness with this greatly painful, difficult world, it's going to get to you. And it most likely has gotten to you already, because that's why you're looking in. Even if you have hesitancy and uncertainty about it, you can know that the great treasure that you are, as the extension of the tree of life, is being protected by God, if you want to believe it. Or maybe you don't want to believe it. Or maybe you'd like to believe it, but you're not sure. Well, this is what I would do if I were to pray it, if I was uncertain about it. However you would address God, Jesus, Mary, Father, Allah, however you would address God, out of your own tradition. God, you would want to help me to understand why you put the two seraphim in front of the gates to the Garden of Eden. You would want me to understand that. And you would want to help me now to be reassured about what the truth of it is. And you're helping me to hand it to you in order to ease my mind. And that's the way I would pray it. Because I know that God wants me to know the truth about these matters, and that God is an all-loving God, an all-understanding God, and therefore in all forgiving God. No, we're just lost. We're just lost. And we didn't even know how to turn around to him and say, we're lost. Help. Don't know what we did. Need your help. We're filled with sin and shame and fear. Help. We're so numb over it. We can't even think it. We just keep going through this world day after day after day. Busy killing God's children. Busy starving some of them. Busy making sure that they don't have money while we do have money. What a world that this is. Certainly not one that God made, or maybe you do think that God made it. Lord, did you make this world? Did you make this world of such injustice and of such disrespect to each other and such a denial that I don't even know you're here? I don't even know to say God. It's that this world exists without you. That's how blanked out we are about the reality of the love of God for us. That's how blanked out we are. That we're turned off to the idea that there is a God. And we've just gone right ahead and made this world and then believed that God did this, and all the tornadoes and typhoons and tsunamis and everything come from God, and feed this feeling of guilt. But God doesn't want us to have it. He doesn't want you just knows you're lost. That's Jesus on the cross. Forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing. Well, how did you play with that one if you played with it? Oh, well, once I do know what I'm doing, then he'll send me to hell. Doesn't make sense. Because you might have known what you're doing, but you don't know how to change it. And so you would have to put a second prayer after that to say, Lord, would you help me to be able to change myself instead of rushing yourself into hell where you think that God wants to chase you? Well, we're going to quote from the Footladder of Notes Divine. Now, you know that that's the dictation that God has been giving me for 13 years, the Footladder of Notes Divine, which is about a healing sequence and curriculum. And I needed it for these 13 or more years, and I'll still keep needing it, and I'm so grateful for receiving it. And one of the verses that are in it, which is verse number 238 in the Footladder of Notes Divine, which, by the way, you'll find on our website, Christian Laity, Laity, Foundation.org, ChristianLaityFoundation.org. Just go there, find the Footladder of Notes Divine, and turn to number 238, because God talks about this now. And this is what God is addressing us with. Forsake not thy golden core. God says we have a golden core. A golden core. Mighty valuable stuff, unless he would have said platinum. I don't know. He said golden. Forsake not. Don't run away from it. Don't abandon it. Forsake not thy golden core. Now you got to ask yourself, have you forsaken the golden core? Do you go around throughout the day believing, wanting to believe, or knowing that you've got a golden core? Do you? If not, you have been forsaking it. You can't look at it. You're not looking. Maybe even just going this far in this statement, forsake not thy golden core, you might want to turn to God and say, am I forsaking it? Have I abandoned it? Or why am I doing it? Whatever you want to say about it. He says, forsake not thy golden core. Are you mad at me, God, because I walked away from this? I was scared. However you're going to say it to God, and listen for God's reassurance. The reason he's saying this is because he doesn't want you to do it. And he's calling you back to it. Forsake not thy golden core that upholds the universal cry for healing. All of God's kingdom that has walked away from the Garden of Eden, if you want to call it, the kingdom, heaven, whatever you want, the universal cry. Everybody is in trouble with this statement. Everybody is in trouble with it. And God has to teach. I want you to stop it. I want you to stop. Forsake it not. I'm glad to help you if you are willing and you want my help, because God won't make a move on you unless you permit it. He's not a tyrant. Hey, you might not want me to do it, but I'm doing it because this is good for you. So you shut up and I'm going to make you change. Scare you to death. You wouldn't dare go near God if something was handled that way. And so he says to you, forsake not, don't do it. It's choice. Forsake not thy golden core, because it's that golden core that upholds your desire for healing. Got it? All right, I'm going to go further. Within ourselves is the God of love. Within is the God of love calling for you to absolve yourself, see yourself as innocent, to absolve yourself of sin and shame. How you doing with sin and shame? Guilty about some stuff? Feeling that there are things that God is going to be punitive towards you? Are you ashamed that you're doing this when God has said to you, look, the only reason that you're doing this kind of stuff is because you don't know what you're doing? How can God be punitive over your not knowing what you're doing? Listen to the line. Decide whether or not you want to lift your eyeballs up to God. Within is the God of love. He didn't say, I am the God of hate. I am the God of retribution. I am the God of the great cosmic baseball bat, which I clunk you if you don't agree with me. No. Within is the God of love. He says he's the God of love. He doesn't say I'm the God of love and irritation. I'm the God of love. Flat out statement. Calling for you to absolve yourself, free yourself, to absolve yourself of sin and shame. Well, you might say, I don't know how to do that. Do you want to do it? Yes? Very good. Lord, I see what you're saying there, and I ask your help because you will want to give it to me to help me to absolve myself of this. Let me listen for how you want this to happen. And you're quiet and you listen. It's very helpful, by the way, if you've got a support group for this kind of thing. But, that will come later. But you see, you can pray these things if you want it. Or you're leery about the sin and shame. Within is the God of love calling for you to absolve yourself of sin and shame, but you're not so sure that God wants to be able to do it. Lord, is that true? You really want me to look at this? You really want me to call upon you to help me with this? Because I got trouble believing it. Let him reassure you about your trouble. If you think he's punitive, going to send you to hell for all eternity. Whatever you think, whatever you've been taught, ask him. That's what this is here for. That's what this number 238 is there for. To be able to encourage you to call to him. And he adds the next sentence, wherefore, why would you hold on to this? If I'm the God of love and I'm calling for you to absolve yourself of sin and shame, therefore, why would you hold on to this? Why would you hold on to it? Well, we're going to pull it down at this point, and the second section we will continue with why are we holding on to this?